I think we began in this business with the best teachers we could have had, which was actually an advertising agency client, and it was TBWA Shy Day in the 90s. And they really taught us how people could be incredibly sensitive to spatial conditions and areas where creativity and ideation could be encouraged and nurtured. So from that point, we were starting with very intelligent clients, very ambitious and smart clients. We were able to do a project that was quite a landmark in the late 90s for open office space, which was a kind of advertising city in a large warehouse in Los Angeles. And that actually steamrolled a kind of a change in our industry because it was extremely successful and people loved it and they loved working in it. And curiously, it had no windows. It was completely inward-looking space, and yet it functioned as a small village. Had sunlight coming into the middle, had a park in the middle, had many of the functions that you find in a village, and that just kind of took off as a methodology. So we were more or less educated into that way of thinking by these clients, and then kind of took off and repeated that formula over a number of projects and started to get a feedback loop with what worked and what didn't work, the responses from our clients and the users that we were able to feed into later projects. So in a way we don't do things in the same way anymore at all. That the thinking has deepened and become more sophisticated, and we're now able to also come up with data to support a lot of the things that we are doing. So it's quite an exciting stage right now, where the workplace is transforming radically. We were kind of fighting a vanguard battle in the late 90s and the early 2000s because a lot of very large corporations couldn't understand the need for this type of change. They've been forced to understand the need for that change because technology has pushed them into a different sphere. So we're now working with technological opportunities today that are really changing fundamentally how people are working and collaborating together. Sometimes those solutions can be unbelievably simple, like the big desk we just did for the Barbarian Group in New York, and very interestingly have gone viral in its messaging across the internet in a both positive and negative way. An awful lot of people saying this is a horrifying way to treat people, and why aren't there any private offices and things like this. And at the same time, this kind of criticism has no longer an awful lot of value to us because we know the users have completely embraced this way of working and are totally in love with it. So there's a kind of groundswell of a shift in the way offices are working, and some of it's driven from the younger generation, and a lot of it's driven, of course, by technological freedoms.